Unless they brought back like Billy Lee or somehow financially incentivized the cast to film with Tom and Raquel. Like if they called Sheena and said, hey, listen, like you have a daughter, you have a husband, you have a home in Palm Springs, you have bills to pay. So we were thinking we want to do a scene with you and Raquel. We're going to give you a $50,000 incentive to go sit down with them and hear Raquel out. She wants to apologize about filing the restraining order. What are your thoughts? Like, that's going to put some of the cast members too in a predicament because it's like, yeah, I don't want to piss off Ariana, but she's over here making a shit ton of money. She doesn't have to worry about her finances. I'm over here with a kid. They're offering me a fat ass paycheck for what, 3 hours of work? Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like producers will incentivize and push them to film.
Absolutely. There will be a point, if Raquel comes back, there will absolutely be a point where the producers say, you have to go sit down to Sheena. You have to go sit down and have a conversation with Raquel. And she knows that. And Sheena knows that that's her job.
Yeah. How awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're so nonchalant about it too. You're like, yeah, it's really fucking awkward, but thank God it's not me. So like this is
seriously. I mean, and I don't even think they would have to incentivize like with the additional, like, as you said, 50K. It's like, no, it's like once they all sign up for the season, if this is the scene, you have to go sit down and you have to talk. I mean, I don't know how I can imagine Ariana saying, absolutely not. I'm not filming with them. But, I can also see a world where they're like, well, this is our job and this is what we have to do. This is what we signed up for. So it's just putting these people in traumatic situations to have to confront people. The whole thing between Raquel and Sheena is, to me, like, that's where I am really protective of Sheena in this because of the whole restraining order aspect of it, and quite honestly, I don't even think that was talked enough at the reunion. Sheena never got an apology from Raquel for that. That caused her immense stress.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, even just like the small bit that she shared about how it affected her daughter, her family at home. Like even when I went to Sheena's house and did the vlog, and it was her mom and her sister and Glam and Brock and the baby, it's such a happy little home,
Yeah.
So I can imagine where all of a sudden you add this stress to it and you add like the court aspect and you have attorneys who are calling you saying, well, because they have to be real about it, right? So here, Sheena, we have to go over everything. Here's the worst possible case scenario. If the court does find that you attacked her, this is what you could be looking at. And here's the best case scenario. But in your mind, especially if you're someone like Sheena, who's like, I don't know, I feel like she's like a Powder Puff Girl or something. Like she's thinking in my head, like, I'm not going to jail for this bitch. I didn't do anything to her. What are you talking about? I need this to be over. So I could see where this would have really stressed her out.
No, of course. And Sheena has admitted that she has anxiety, she has OCD. So of course she's thinking worst case scenario and just it's keeping her up at night. And it really, really affected her. She still has nightmares to this day.
Ay. All right. Well, I am happy that Raquel did show up to the reunion, especially after she said to Andy that at one point she was contemplating the idea of skipping it. But when she was talking about it, she's like, I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed. And then all of a sudden, Ariana cuts her off and she's like, shut up. You're ashamed and you are diabolical. You are subhuman. Like she went down the list. She said, you are unbelievable. Again, I know you've been around the cast a lot. I've seen Ariana mad maybe twice in all of the time that I've been around her and not this mad. What was your reaction seeing this side of her? I mean, were you shocked? Did you feel like you knew it was just a matter of time before this side of her was going to come out? What did you feel?
No, I wasn't shocked at all because I can put myself in that position. I've been cheated on by my ex-fiance of 7 years, and I have a daughter with him. I've been in that position. And if I were to put myself in that seat 2 weeks after finding this out and having to watch the two of them together and hear them say they're in love and all of that, I would have probably done a lot worse. So everyone thinks like she unleashed, and I hear some people even saying it went too far. I would have gone much further than that even. So I completely understand her rage, and I think it's valid.
I know. I thought that for somebody who just had their whole world turned upside down, like when people keep assessing this through the eyes of look at all of the opportunities she's getting out of it, it's like with that aside, set that aside because
Yeah.
especially in this moment, she didn't know that she was getting all of those opportunities. Right. Sure, I'm sure that some of these conversations started to happen with her team because I know that a lot of people once they realized that this was making national international news headlines, okay, she's going to be a hot commodity. Let's try to, get a deal with her in some capacity. But with that aside, this was still very much so her life. The person she woke up to every day, the person who she anticipated sharing life with after this entire show was gone, and all of that got taken away. So for somebody to be in those shoes and be like, you're an asshole, I think that you're shitty. I think that you should take a look at your life. I don't think that you are capable of even conceiving a thought on your own. I think that you are probably the worst human being that I've ever met. Give or take a few cuss words in there. I was like, the way that she articulated that, you can't, what are you going to say? She's saying that you are a shitty person and what you did was a shitty thing. And she's not wrong.
Yeah, no. And I mean, again, putting myself in that position physically, you probably couldn't hold me back if I were her. So where people are saying like, oh, she unleashed too much, I'm just like, if that was me, I would have done so much worse. So yeah, I was not shocked by that. I'm like, good job, Ariana. You actually kept your composure and you were able to say everything you wanted to say.
Good job, Ariana. All right. Big Apple Girl 247, very high functioning autistic with an Ivy League MA in education here. Last 5 minutes shows that Rachel isn't a sociopath. She did terrible things, but has remorse for lying for Tom. She just doesn't nail facial expressions or social cues. Okay. Renee Glover said people are forgetting Ariana finds out and 3 weeks later they are taping the reunion. Feelings are still raw at that time. Rachel and Tom got everything they deserved. Not enough if you ask me. Okay. All right. So I wanted to get on. Thank you guys for the super chats. I wanted to move on to the next part of this too, because they get put into an uncomfortable situation where they are being now asked, Tom and Raquel, why did you do this? Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you walk away? And Raquel ends up saying, well, it's because I couldn't and I'm in love with him. And then you see the awkward moment where he asks Tom, are you also in love with her? And she pauses and Lala interrupts and Ariana looks like she's like cringing a little bit, but they do both admit we're in love. Thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like they're not. I feel like there's no way that they are. I don't know. I almost feel like they thought they had to say that or believe it just to make all of this worth them doing. Because if they're sitting there and they say no, then it's in their minds, it probably makes what they did so much worse and for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, well, which is even sort of kind of what's happening with this a source going to Page 6 and saying that they broke up and he's on this like life journey. She's at a mental health facility. We're all like, what the fuck is going on? But on top of this, then we see where Ariana starts going in on Raquel and she's telling her, you are nothing. And Raquel gets up and walks away. But they all start talking to Tom Schwartz. And Tom Schwartz at one point is trying to do just that, which was make a point. This is when he's looking at Ariana and he's like, it must be nice because like the whole world rallied around Ariana. And then she like flipped the script